You know that moment when a K-drama CEO walks into frame and you suddenly understand why the female lead is ready to throw away her entire life for this man? Yeah, me too. Not every actor can pull off that whole, I own 3 companies and your heart energy. But these 15 K-drama actors, they didn't just wear expensive suits. They made us believe they could actually fire us, and we'd thank them for it. Now, let's see who made the list. 15. Yoon Kyun-sang, clean with passion for now. Picture this. A CEO so particular about cleanliness that he makes hand sanitizer look romantic. His character wasn't your typical cold corporate king. He was the germophobic boss who somehow managed to look like he stepped out of a luxury magazine while having a panic attack about dust particles. Those perfectly pressed suits weren't just about looking good. They were armor against a world full of germs. And honestly, the man made neuroses look expensive. What really got to fans was watching him crumble every time Kim Yoo-jung's character showed up with her chaotic energy. You could see this polished CEO facade literally melt into awkward smiles and nervous fidgeting, but he never lost that underlying authority. He balanced the vulnerability with the power so perfectly that viewers were genuinely torn between wanting to mess up his pristine office and wanting to protect his anxious little heart. Plus, let's be honest, when someone looks that good while freaking out about bacteria, you know they've mastered the CEO aesthetic. 14. Ha Sok-jin, something about 1%. He proved that sometimes the quiet ones are the most dangerous. His character was the kind of heir who inherited billions but acted like it was just Tuesday. No big deal, just casually owning half the country. The way he wore those tailored suits felt almost casual, like putting on designer clothes was as natural as breathing, which made him infinitely more intimidating than any shouty boss could be. Something about 1% might not have gotten the hype of bigger dramas, but fans who discovered it became absolutely obsessed with his subtle performance. You could track his entire emotional journey just by watching his posture change. Shoulders rigid and defensive at first, then gradually relaxing as love snuck in. That evolution from untouchable corporate prince to actual human being was so believable because he never tried to oversell it. Sometimes the most powerful CEO energy comes from the guys who don't need to prove anything. 13. Na In-woo, marry my husband. He walked into Marry My Husband and immediately rewrote the CEO playbook. His character was what you'd get if emotional intelligence had a baby with unlimited resources. Calm, thoughtful, and devastatingly attractive in that quiet way that sneaks up on you. Instead of the usual ice-cold corporate king routine, he gave us something softer but somehow more powerful. A boss who actually listened when people talked. The internet absolutely lost its mind over something about the way he'd glance up from paperwork, or how he'd lean back in his chair while thinking, had TikTok users hitting pause and replay? When your boss energy comes from actual leadership skills instead of intimidation tactics, that's when you know you've mastered the look. 12th. Kim Young-kwang, The Secret Life of My Secretary. He brought something completely different to the CEO table. Pure, unfiltered chaos wrapped in a very expensive suit. His character was the kind of boss who'd make impulsive decisions in million-dollar meetings and somehow still look like he knew exactly what he was doing. The man has legs that go on for days and used every inch of his height to dominate scenes. But then he'd do something completely bratty and endearing that made you forget he was supposed to be intimidating. What made his performance so memorable was how human he kept everything. This wasn't a perfect, untouchable executive. This was a guy who got dramatic about small things and wore his emotions all over his very handsome face. The chemistry with Jin Ki-ju was electric because you could watch his entire corporate facade crumble every time she smiled at him. He understood that sometimes the hottest CEO energy comes from a man who's powerful enough to be completely ridiculous and still make it work. 11th, Park Hyung-sik, strong woman do bong soon. His character basically invented the playful CEO category and then perfected it before anyone else could even try. This man made pastel suits look powerful, which should be impossible. But here we are. He was the gaming company boss who turned boardrooms into playgrounds while still commanding respect from everyone around him. The way he balanced being completely smitten with being completely in control was pure magic. Fans still talk about how refreshing it was to see a CEO who didn't equate coldness with power. He was warm, funny, a little unhinged, and absolutely shameless about his feelings. But he never stopped feeling like a boss. Those little jealous moments when he'd get possessive? Comedy gold that somehow made him more attractive instead of petty. He proved that confidence is the best accessory, and when you're secure enough in your power to be goofy, that's when you become truly irresistible. So tell me, which K-drama actor totally owns those CEO roles and makes your heart skip a beat? Drop their name in the comments. Number 10. Hyun Secret Garden. His character was peak, I'm rich and insufferable and you'll love me for it energy. This man made arrogance look like an art form, strutting around in the most questionable fashion choices while somehow still radiating enough power to make you forget he was wearing sequined tracksuits. Secret Garden was absolutely unhinged, and Hyun leaned into every ridiculous moment while never losing that underlying CEO authority that made everything work. The audacity of this character was legendary. He'd say the most outrageous things with complete confidence, and somehow we all fell for it. He said he understood that sometimes being a memorable CEO means being so over the top that people can't look away. He set the template for every dramatic chaebol, proving that if you're going to be ridiculous, you might as well be spectacular about it. Number 9. So, G-Sub, Master's son. He turned brooding into a corporate superpower. His character was what you'd get if sarcasm learned how to wear a suit and decided to run a company out of pure spite. Those dark, perfectly tailored outfits weren't just clothes. They were like armor for a man who'd been hurt too many times and decided that emotional distance was the best business strategy. What made his performance absolutely unforgettable was the stillness. While other actors were throwing tantrums or making grand gestures, he could control an entire scene with just a look. That slow burn transformation from completely closed off to protective and caring was masterful because he never rushed it. Fans are still obsessing over how he'd soften around Gong Hyo-jin's character. Those tiny cracks in his facade were more powerful than any dramatic confession scene. Sometimes the most compelling CEO energy comes from the quiet ones who make you work for every emotion. Number 8. Kang Min-hyuk, Celebrity. He completely surprised everyone by ditching his sweet drummer image for something much more dangerous. His celebrity character was the kind of businessman who felt like he was playing chess while everyone else was playing checkers, always calculating, always mysterious, always looking like he knew something you didn't. The styling was sleek and minimal, all black suits and perfectly styled hair, but it was his eyes that did the real heavy lifting. Fans were genuinely conflicted about this character because he made him so magnetically unsettling. There was this cold curiosity in the way he'd observe people, like he was studying them for some purpose he'd never reveal. Social media was full of people asking, do I trust him? Or do I want him to ruin my life? Which is probably the exact reaction the writers were going for. It was such a departure from his previous roles, but he pulled off that emotionally distant CEO vibe so convincingly that it made people wonder what other surprises he's been hiding. Number 7. Yoo Seung-ho, I'm Not a Robot. He gave us the antisocial CEO we didn't know we needed. His character had literal allergies to human contact, which should have made him the least romantic lead ever, but somehow it just made everything more intense. Those rigid suits and perfectly controlled environment weren't about looking powerful. They were survival gear for someone who'd built walls so high that falling in love felt genuinely dangerous. The emotional journey in this drama was incredible to watch because he played every tiny breakthrough like it was a miracle. Watching his character slowly soften from someone who couldn't handle human touch to someone desperately in love was pure artistry. That vulnerable confession scene where he's finally ready to tear down all his defenses, fans still get emotional thinking about it. He proved that sometimes the most powerful CEO energy comes from someone who's brave enough to be completely vulnerable when it matters. Number 6. Kim Seon-ho, Startup. He technically wasn't the CEO, but his character owned every single room he entered. Those razor-sharp suits and withering one-liners made him feel more like a boss than half the actual company owners in K-drama history. He had this way of speaking that made everyone else sound like they were still in training, all while looking like he'd stepped out of a business magazine. Fans called him "good boy," but there was absolutely nothing soft about his professional confidence. The way he'd deliver cutting observations while looking completely composed was both attractive and slightly terrifying. Watching him silently pine while maintaining that perfect business facade was emotional torture in the best way. As of 2025, he's been charming audiences on stage, and there are whispers about a potential drama return, though nothing's confirmed yet. Either way, fans are still not over how he made being emotionally repressed look like the most attractive quality in the world. Number 5. Hyun, Perfect Marriage, Revenge, and My Secret Romance. He has perfected this signature CEO intensity that's all about what he doesn't say. That quiet voice and brooding stare combination makes every conversation feel like a business negotiation, even when he's just ordering coffee. In Perfect Marriage Revenge, his gaze alone could cut through steel, while My Secret Romance showed his softer side as the aloof chaebol who kept falling in love despite his best efforts to stay distant. What fans absolutely love about Hyun is that he never tries too hard to prove his power. He just exists in these suits like he was born wearing them. The way he'll lean against a wall or give someone a slow, considering nod makes every scene feel charged with tension. He's not flashy or dramatic. He's just consistently magnetic in that understated way that makes you pay attention to every micro-expression. It's CEO energy for people who prefer their authority figures mysterious and slightly dangerous. Number 4. Kim Jae-wook, Her Private Life and Crazy Love. His range in CEO roles is absolutely unmatched. In Her Private Life, he was the emotionally stable boss who turned out to be the greenest flag in K-drama history, while Crazy Love showed us his unhinged side, manipulative and chaotic, but still weirdly attractive. The man can literally play opposite ends of the CEO spectrum and somehow make both versions feel completely authentic. His style game is consistently flawless, regardless of which version of corporate leadership he's channeling. Fans regularly post outfit breakdowns of his looks because every single piece feels intentional and expensive. He understands that being a memorable CEO isn't about being consistent. It's about being so compelling that people can't predict what you'll do next, whether that's being the perfect gentleman or completely losing your mind. Number 3. An Hyo-seop, Business Proposal. His character defined what modern CEO romance should look like. He was rich, robotic, and completely allergic to any kind of nonsense, until one accidental blind date turned his entire world upside down. The way he'd switch from strict corporate mode to soft, confused about feelings mode was like watching two different people share the same perfectly tailored wardrobe. That rain scene where he just stands there getting soaked like some kind of melancholy fashion magazine spread? Absolutely iconic. Fans are still making edits of that moment because it perfectly captured his character's emotional journey. As of 2025, he's reportedly preparing for another romantic comedy, and fans everywhere are hoping we'll get another suited-up heartbreaker who's just as good at falling in love as he is at running companies. He proved that the most attractive CEO quality is knowing when to let your guard down. Number 2. Lee Junho, King the Land. He brought this elegant gentleman energy to the CEO role that felt both timeless and completely fresh. His character had this composed, almost regal way of carrying himself that made every business meeting look like a diplomatic summit. The way he moved in those suits suggested someone who'd been groomed for power his entire life, but never let it make him cold or disconnected. He understood that real power isn't about intimidation. It's about being so confident in yourself that you can be completely present with another person. Twitter was flooded with fans saying he brought CEO fantasies to life, which is exactly what happens when an actor makes corporate authority look romantic instead of scary. His acting has only gotten stronger since his 2 p.m. days, and as of 2025, he's still booked solid with back-to-back offers. Clearly, everyone wants a piece of that princely CEO energy. Number 1. Park Seo-joon, What's Wrong with Secretary Kim and She Was Pretty. He owns this entire category and everyone else is just competing for second place. In What's Wrong with Secretary Kim, He created the most narcissistic CEO in K-drama history, and somehow made it absolutely charming. Every line was delivered with such exaggerated confidence that you couldn't help but fall for his ridiculous self-obsession. He wore those power suits like armor for his ego, and it was magnificent to watch. She Was Pretty showed his range by giving us the sharp editor-in-chief with emotional walls built so high they needed their own zip code. Both roles prove that he has mastered the art of balancing arrogance with vulnerability, making characters who should be insufferable completely irresistible instead. Fans are manifesting more CEO content because, honestly, the man has ruined us for all other corporate love interests. When you set the bar this high, everyone else is just trying to reach it. Seriously, which one of these CEO kings would convince you to quit your job and become their secretary? If you enjoyed watching this video, you absolutely have to check out my last video, 25 K-drama actors who look hotter now than 10 years ago.